What is your sense regarding how authorities are working to close in on Boelter right now?
Well, they've established a perimeter and a grid around where they think he could possibly be at this point. Of course, they found the car along with that cowboy hat, so they're inundating that area. They're going to look at all known associates that he may have. They'll be checking all of those places to see if he's in contact with them or may show up there. And most likely he's holed away somewhere, hiding either in the countryside there or at a residence, perhaps somewhere that's vacant, something like that. But rest assured, I do believe he'll be caught and caught shortly. They have all the assets they need, on site to apprehend this individual. So I have no doubt that they'll find him shortly.
So police say Boelter posed as law enforcement. An online resume says he's a security contractor. Corporate records show he and his wife filed to create a security services company. How might he be leaning on that type of background and experience right now?
Well, that allows him to know potentially tactics of law enforcement. If he's been trained in security, some of those security tactics marry closely to police tactics. So that gives him a little bit of an advantage in terms of what the response will be. But ultimately, with people on the run like this, he's going to run out of resources eventually, and he'll have to either surrender himself or, be apprehended. Let's just hope that, no violence other than what he's done already takes place before that happens. And that's the real concern here is, obviously he's armed. We want to make sure that, if the public sees anything, they notify 911 right away. They do not approach in any way because this is obviously an extremely dangerous individual.
You were part of Secret Service, helped protect two presidents. There's an argument being made now that this has reignited the need for other lawmakers to have more protection. Many saying that they're not as safe as some think they are. What are your thoughts on some of those talking points popping up now?
I think it's a great idea to have more protection. We've seen acts like this on the rise. You most recently had the CEO of the large medical company, the target of an assassination. And so, any heightened security you can have for public officials that have high-level positions, I think is good and absolutely needed. And hopefully, that will happen sooner than later, especially with what's going on today and in the past few months in general.
And we're getting some more details about the wife being pulled over, found with a weapon, ammunition, cash, passports. This was about 75 miles from where the shootings took place, 8 hours earlier. What is your sense for how this could have happened? There's another point in this case that's raising some suspicions when this man was in the home shooting at police and then was able to evade law enforcement on foot without his vehicle. Those are 2 points where law enforcement was very, very close to this suspect. What are your thoughts on both of those aspects?
It makes you wonder if perhaps he didn't have some help from the wife or someone else, that he was able to go out the back and possibly be picked up on an adjacent street. I mean, there's no evidence of that at this point, but it does make you wonder if that's perhaps the case. And you have to wonder what type of involvement she has in this, given the things that were found in her vehicle, prior to this incident occurring. So it is concerning. But in terms of, the police shootout with him there, those things are very dynamic. They're very dangerous. So, I know there's a lot been said about why didn't they apprehend him right then and there. Well, when you have an active person shooting at you, you have to take some countermeasures there. They would have had to call for backup. And during that time, I'm sure he was able to slip out the back and evade them.
Donald Lane, certainly appreciate the context there and for joining us this afternoon. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.